The ones we have now are obsolete. They no longer make those. So we went up to the next couple versions, looked at them. He let us temp loan them. We did go around town. The temporary tower is up. So they are the one that we did choose to go with, was the APX 4000, is reaching out to some of those dead zones there until until that actual permanent tower is up. Again, we're dealing with the portable one. It is working. It is giving us coverage up there, but I think just not as good as the permanent tower once that's in there. I'm not a radio man, so don't hold me to that, but we are definitely getting better coverage with that. So by using those temp-loaned radios and going around checking spots, the chief drove around everywhere, constantly checking in. A couple officers had a couple of those temp loans, and they worked much better. That's why we chose to go with the APX 4000.
Thank you very much.
You're welcome.
Good question. Further questions? I'll call the motion. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Any abstain? Thank you. Thanks, Sergeant, for that great work. The easy way out would have been taking the trade-in. Out of nowhere, we got this $17,000 credit. Fantastic. The next on our agenda is the discussion possible action of the microgrid project proposal. We had a public meeting last week. It was also televised about this microgrid program, and you impressively asked questions to the vendor. Mr. Bergaz here to answer any further questions or follow-ups. Don't forget, we are entering the opportunity to possibly receive DEEP grants, and then we'd be looking at the contract, going into a contract with a vendor to install a microgrid at the Lily B. Haynes complex to service all the government facilities in that area. What we wish to do is to engage further and get into line, if you will, with the DEEP project. $26 million of already bonded money that is available for microgrids, specifically microgrids in the state. And we've been identified by Eversource, as we heard. Eversource identified our middle of the town complex as a perfect place for microgrid. We can take a motion and then have comments.
Okay, I'll move to authorize the first selectman to execute and deliver the engagement letter between Michaud Law Group and the town of East Lyme, subject to the approval of the town attorney.
Second.
Motion and second are on the table. Any further questions?
Just, I think, to help clarify that this will not require any expenditure by the town up front at all. Because those that didn't see the other meeting. And if we are accepted and it goes installed, there's a lot of other areas where it may save us some money too, possibly, with generators for pump houses as well. And that once it's installed, we do get a 1.5 cent, whatever energy we use, it'd be 1.5 cents per kilowatt hour less than we'd have to pay through Eversource or whatever source we were using at the time. So, and it was Eversource that reached out. We're not cutting into their thing because of the fact that this is something that would allow us to have power. If power goes down in the area, we would still have it. And it would be by Haynes, the middle school, the pump houses there, the community center, and especially with the community, the middle school is a 7-town emergency shelter. So it was a very excellent presentation, and we had with the Board of Ed. That's my only comment.
Great. Any other questions?
I would only add, in addition to what Mr. Seri stated, this is an opportunity to get some of our residents' taxpayers' money back from the state of Connecticut, because it's bonded, it's out there. If we don't move forward to try and get approval for this grant, someone else in the state of Connecticut will. So I see it as an opportunity to return some of our taxpayers' monies to the town for the benefit of town residents.
That's a good point. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Any abstain? Terrific. Next on our agenda is 3C, discussion and possible action of the special appropriation of $2,150 for the purchase of a town fleet vehicle. We have a new town assessor in town, and she's being aggressive. She's doing her job. Each assessor, not to put anything down, put our prior assessor down by any means. She served our town well. But with each new assessor comes a new set of eyes and a new style. And she's taking to the road often, as is other people on her staff. It's cheaper for us to have a town vehicle than it is for us to pay mileage and expense to her personal vehicle. Plus, there's a personal vehicle showing up to a household. We're better off with a town vehicle for safety factors and all that. We have as a result of the asset forfeiture program, when our police officers have investigative cases, they work where illegal activity is proven, the department becomes eligible for distribution from assets, and the distributions received have been in cash and in vehicles. And currently, we have 5 vehicles that are in storage at the Public Works facility that we are in the process of selling. We've identified one that is in 2003. It's like 15 model years old. Subaru Legacy station wagon. It's very lightly used. It's actually in pretty good shape. The average trade-in value is in the mid 2000s, so $2,150 fits within that. And we need to actually purchase it from the forfeiture program. We can't just take it and start using it for the town. The money has to be sold, and it goes back into the forfeiture program. But so what we're doing is going to take that. We're going to take $2,100 and add the Subaru Legacy station wagon, which will save this town money because currently the transportation that we're spending, the transportation fees that we're spending for our assessor to go out, or to use right now the Public Works vehicle, which is putting a crunch on vehicles in this building because they're out and about at different engineering projects and paving projects. So we're asking to approve the purchase of $2,100 for the station wagon.
I'll move to approve a special appropriation in the amount of $2,150 from CNRE Fund 32, account number 32-60-120-100-002, proceeds from the sale of vehicles to purchase a 2003 Subaru Legacy station wagon from the Police Department asset forfeitures for use by other town departments, primarily Assessment Department, and forward to the Board of Finance for approval.
Is there any second?
Second.
Okay. So the motion's on the table. Any questions, concerns, problems?
I'll start off.
Okay.
How many other department heads do use their own vehicle as opposed to a town vehicle?
Generally, they're all town vehicles. Is that correct, Joe? I use my own vehicle, and I'm in different meetings 3 or 4 days a week.
Mm-hmm.
The zoning official uses his own vehicle.
Zoning official does. And Gary uses his own. Joe, you have a town vehicle?
I do, but there's 2 of us, and I frequently use my own.
Right, we have 2 people in the building department, so if he's out in it, you gotta use your own. So we have reimbursement coming in. Obviously, if the vehicle is available and one of these gentlemen need it, it will be available to anyone in the town hall.
Well, this is a relatively small amount of money. It's also a considerably older vehicle.
Correct.
And this is a departure from what has been our past policy, where it has been felt that it was more economical for the town to reimburse reimburse expenses. And you've stated that you don't feel that that's true any longer.
To pick this vehicle out for $2,100 or to pay 50 cents a mile over the course of a year, this vehicle, let's say it lasts 3 or 4 years, we're way ahead. We're way ahead.
All right, well, it also sets the precedent for a replacement of this vehicle with something else, considering that it's a
That's my problem with that, too.
2003. And it also sets a precedent for those department heads that are continuing to use their own vehicles, who I think would feel that what's good for one is good for all. So while it is only $2,150, I'm reluctant to vote for this for the precedent-setting nature of it.
Okay. Joe, do you want to make some comments on that? Why this vehicle? First of all, we get pressure on the town vehicles right now, and this is kind of important to add another vehicle into the fleet because we have so many people on the road doing home inspections, building inspections, et cetera.
I can't speak for the other departments. I do
Right.
know that Diane, the assessor, is in our office almost every day looking for keys to go out in a vehicle, and we are doing our best. We always, are you going to be out of the office for the next 2 days? I mean, it's a constant juggling of stuff like that. What she's doing is not what was done in the past, where she's out there all the time, and all I keep hearing is she's trying to do it because she's going out to inspections, which is going to increase the values, which is going to bring in more tax dollars. So this is something we should try to encourage. So we do our best to kind of trying to provide these vehicles. If Gary, or if Mr. Geisel, if Joe Smith, or if anyone else was looking for a vehicle, we try to get it for him. She requested something available. We didn't have anything else available. The Public Works actually maintains these asset forfeiture vehicles. We just know I can't just give it to her to use because of this, so we thought that this is something, it's coming out of the money, the sale money for things of all the older vehicles that come in. This vehicle is in pretty good shape, and I do understand at some point it would have to be replaced, but it is in pretty good shape, and we expect it's going to last some time.
Thank you.
Any other questions, comments?
Regarding the need to replace it at some time, there's no mandate that it has to be replaced. If it's purchased and used, we'll have some history on how often it's used and be able to assess, the need to replace it and the benefit that it brought to the operation of the town over, a 2 or 3, 4 year service life of the vehicle. I wouldn't think it would be an automatic need to replace it in the future.
I would think the precedent would be established if we're going to provide a vehicle, then I would think that the expectation would be that there would be a replacement vehicle for that.
Is this going to be a shared resource? Is it by other?
Absolutely, like all the vehicles here. Anyone comes in, any vehicle, they're not department vehicles or town vehicles. So if someone comes in, that's what I was saying, if someone comes in, here, have the key to any of our vehicles. The problem is we just have people running all over the place that sometimes that becomes a problem where you have nothing to go out with. And in this case, in the assessor's case, it is correct that if they're just pulling up to someone's house, it's nice that if it's something that the town is providing as opposed to their own personal vehicle.
So it wouldn't be for the exclusive use of the assessor? It would be-
Absolutely not.
Okay. I see.
Anyone that needs it, just like any other vehicle.
Thank you.
Okay, so this is something that I wasn't aware of, that we had a change in policy and that we were essentially loaning vehicles from a motor pool, or to put it generally.
Yeah, how many vehicles do we have for use for all these departments right now? 2?
At the town hall,
Yeah.
there's 3 vehicles. Right now, at town hall.
And
Which
then
are not,
generally-
which are not assigned to any particular department.
Correct.
They are down, they're mostly used because 2 of the vehicles are completely staffed with surveying equipment and all the other stuff for the projects, and it's all there, so they typically are used by the engineering staff, but they can be used by others as well.
So whose budget are these vehicles assigned to?
What do you mean by budget? Well, any repairs come out of the highway department, and gas gets assigned to the building maintenance, and so the budget is assigned to me, to my
No
department.
matter what.
Okay, so we in fact don't know, for instance, which department is actually utilizing these vehicles because it doesn't show up in their budget.
Correct.
It's in your budget.
Well, yeah, it's in the building, gas is in the highway department as a fuel line, and building and maintenance is in the vehicle maintenance line, and as you're well aware, the vehicle maintenance, where we repair all the vehicles in town, and we don't charge other departments. We just do it.
Thank you.
Okay. Other questions, concerns? Call the vote. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed?
Opposed?
Okay. I'll comment on that, as I've worked hard to knock down the fleet in this town too. I get it. It does set a precedent, but we have all these people on the road, so we are in need of another vehicle.
Well, I think putting somebody into a 2003 vehicle And being responsible for that carries a certain liability as well.
Safety, you mean?
Well, we're putting somebody into a vehicle that's 2000 and, what is it, 2000?
We got a lot of vehicles in this town older than that.
But I think many of those vehicles are more or less commercial
Yeah,
work vehicles.
you're absolutely right. You're
as
absolutely right.
opposed to what
Mhm.
would be a standard passenger vehicle.
Agreed. We're done with that. Discussion and possible action, additional Eversource funding for the ELCC boilers. So here's the deal. We put in new boilers at the East Lyme Community Center. As you know, we switched from oil to natural gas.
Well,
And
we
they're more
did.
efficient as well?
That's not what this is about, but
Okay.
we did switch. It's just, we came before the board, we did the
Yeah.
appropriations, we replaced the boilers. And this is all good news. At the time, as we were saying, we were trying to get the heat going at the community center. It's still not going yet because it's gonna be all finalized this week. So as time was of the essence, there was a incentive program, and there's three parts of the funding. There was 36,000 that we were able to, carry
38,000?
38,000 from last year.
Mhm.
Then we had a portion, which I think was 13,800 for incentives. At the time of the meeting, because I was trying to get it through Board of Selectmen, Board of Finance, town meeting, order the materials, get the heat on in the building. At that time, the Eversource came back and said the floor was 13,800 for their incentives. I knew the incentive proposal should be 50%, which was going to be 39,000 or whatever the specific numbers are. So all this is saying now is we're getting the full 50%, the 24,000. At the time, the appropriations, the way it was scripted, is that we were using the money that was left over from last year, the 13,800 from the incentive, and we were using 27,700 out of the HVAC, CNRE bucket money. I know I've heard the word bucket, but the monies that were put in there, so if anything happens, we don't have to come back. So we basically are clearing every penny out of that account. That's the account that anything that breaks down in this town on HVAC, we go fix. So what we're asking is the extra rebate money gets put back in that account so that when the next thing breaks, which it does, we actually have something cooking at the PD right now, then we can go and do the job and fix it instead of having to go through an appropriations. That's what this is all about. We have extra rebate money, and we're looking to put it back into the account, the HVAC, CNRE, for the exact purpose that it should be, why we always set up the account.
So we thought we were getting $13,800. And that's what we calculated. We ended up getting an additional, on top of the 13, correct?
Correct.
Another $24,600 just in rebates and incentives because we did this. And we're looking to take that $24,600 plus the $13,800. Well, the $13,800 we had already dealt with, but the $24,000 we're trying to apply that to back into the bucket.
It's re-shifting the monies.
Right.
So that instead of completely cleaning out the CNRE for HVAC in this town, we're putting
Which
the
is
money
not
back
good.
in it because, just so we all remember, that we used to fund that account $37,000 a year up until 2 years ago, dropped to 10. Last year dropped to 10. That account's getting low. And any single time, I mean, we've been spending $25,000 a year on unexpected, have no idea what's gonna break next. I know we're working on a facility management plan that we're trying to look at the different systems, but you still don't know where they're gonna be.
I'll move to amend the special appropriation in the amount of $76,854 approved at special town meeting on August 16th, 2017 for the purchase and installation of the boiler replacement at East Lyme Community Center as follows. $38,400 Eversource incentive to replace heating equipment, original amount $13,800. $3,374 in account 32-70-300-500-005 HVAC pump replacement townwide, original amount $27,974. And forward to the Board of Finance for approval, and this will require a town meeting.
Terrific. Joe had mentioned, you have a motion. Is there a second?
Second.
Okay. Mr. Begaw had mentioned that we're having an issue over at the police station. One of the air handlers will need to be replaced. There's two in the building, and one is doing the job for both right now, and that's never good for machinery, working at 200% to plan. So we will be reinvesting this money in short order somewhere else, no doubt. But it's wonderful that we were able to receive this extra money and replace the CNRE HVAC pump replacement fund. Any other comments? Good work, Joe. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Any abstain? We'll review and approve the, thank you, Mr. Bergal. Mr. Gaishel's here tonight. I said, come on down, let's talk about roads. And Mr. Gaishel's got a major project where, in the Orchards area of town, where we're about to accept more town roads, and that's the job of this commission. We won't read all the roads and the meets and bounds and all that, but if you could just kind of go rather
So I'll
briskly about what's going on here and
summarize.
what we're doing tonight.
So at last night's planning commission meeting, the planning commission voted unanimously to recommend favorable acceptance of the roads up in the Orchard subdivision. It's a portion of road extending from the southern intersection of Peach Lane, of Arbor Crossing, all the way to its northern intersection with Peach Lane, in addition to Holly Lane, which exits out onto Scott Road. I believe in the information you have all the documentation that the planning commission was given. We have a memorandum from our town engineer indicating that all the public improvements have been done to town standards. The planning commission also, as an FYI, did approve a reduction in the bond amount of approximately $566,711. The remaining bond amount is $2,073,289. They have probably a good, just a little over half of that subdivision has been completed. Since the carriers have taken that project over, we've seen houses built and the roads be improved. A significant amount of work has been done. Significant amount of money has been spent on their behalf developing that project as well. I think it's a good project for the town. It is bringing tax dollars that are well needed. There's not a single house in that subdivision that has sold less than $500,000. So I think that's of interest. And so long as the development continues, I think we'll end up with a fantastic subdivision. As some of you may know, they have a pool up there, a clubhouse, and there will be a cell tower going up as a replacement and a silo, architecturally designed silo, and a barn to house the equipment. So if you have any questions specifically about the road acceptance, be happy to
Gary,
answer.
what percentage of that subdivision is built out at this point?
A little over half.
Oh,
A little over half, yeah.
really? So there's
Correct.
that many more to go?
There's about 50 more lots, yeah. That's correct.
About,
There was a
50,
total of
60
161 lots. So just a little over half. I would say they've got about 45 to 50 lots left.
okay,
And
Maybe
probably
two-thirds.
about a half a mile of road to pave.
okay. Wow.
But they're making quick work of it, so.
Questions for Mr. Gaishel?
Yes. Considering that there is a considerable amount of development to continue there, are you confident that by reducing the bond, there is enough money remaining to cover the additional work that will need to be done?
Yes. I know the town engineer, Mr. Benny, I work closely with John Paul Marine from Gerber Marine regarding these numbers. Initially, when the bond was set, Mr. Benny had the privilege of working with me when we set the initial bond, which was just over the $2 million mark. So I'm confident they did ask for a larger reduction, but based on Mr. Benny's recommendation, we went with a lesser amount. They wanted just a little over $700,000 back, and he's agreed to $566,000 and
It's been a
change.
couple of weeks since I've driven through that development, but it looks to me as though there are perhaps 3 or 4 additional roads to be put in.
The Arbor Crossing will continue to complete the circle, and then there is Partridge Court has been paved with a binder course, and there's Pumpkin Grove, which will also have to be put in. I don't believe that road has been cut in, but Arbor Crossing has been cut in. Some of the infrastructure has been installed, the sewer mains and catch basins. I think they've started that work, but it's not ready, obviously, to go forward with the binder course. They still have to do some more work there.
All right, thank you for the additional information.
Sure.
Gentlemen, anything? We put a motion on the table and then ask more questions.
I'll move that the East Lyme Planning Commission has recommended the town accept as public highways certain roads and related improvements located in Phase 4 of the Orchards of East Lyme subdivision, known as Holly Lane, and a portion of Arbor Crossing from its southern intersection with Peach Lane to its northern intersection with Peach Lane, more particularly described in a deed and related documents pertaining to the roads. And whereas the town engineer and director of planning have determined that said roads and related improvements have been constructed in accordance with the town's standards and approved plans, and whereas the town municipal utility engineer has determined that the water and sewer lines located in said road have been constructed in accordance with the town's standards and as-built plans, it is resolved that the Board of Selectmen hereby accepts as public highways the roads and related improvements known as Holly Lane and a portion of Arbor Crossing, subject to the developer's execution and delivery of the deed and related documents as approved by the town attorney.
Second?
Any comments, questions? Thank you, Gary. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Any abstain? Thank you again. I know this is a big project, and the bond part was a big project, getting that bond money back to them, and building goes on up there.
The building will, yeah.
And East Lyme continues to stay hot in the real estate market, and they're selling them as they're building them.
Yeah, I would just add,
Terrific.
from what I've gathered, talking to various real estate agents at East Lyme, as compared to almost any other town in Connecticut, is things have not been, things have been moving, let's put it that way. So I think that looks favorable for the future.
I spoke to the real estate agent group just a couple weeks ago, and they say the same thing, that there's an inventory problem, if anything, in East Lyme. It remains hot, so if there's anything hot in Connecticut right now. But still, the bar is, there's a new baseline, what was hot in the 80s and 90s isn't the definition of hot now. Southeast of Connecticut is still in a recession. Connecticut is headed into a difficult place, but East Lyme itself, real estate people are trying to move in.
Absolutely, and I think it's a testament to the leaders of this town who's made East Lyme that attractive. So, thank you.
Thanks.
Nightfall?
Discussion of the state budget
Oh,
is what I have next. Is that what you
No,
have?
that's what you, yeah.
No? Usually I'm skipping.
Yeah, usually I'm
Pulling
helping
it
you
down.
out, but this time, well,
Yeah.
I read that long thing and it winded me, so
Yeah.
I.
So, Mr. Rando talked about the budget tonight, and he's not the only one in the state talking about the budget. It's all I seem to do. I wanted to kind of fill you all in. I was up at the CCM. We pay for that. It's the Connecticut Council of Municipalities. I was up there. I'm on the legislative committee on, I guess that was Tuesday, and of course I was at executive committee of COG, the Council of Governments, Monday, and we're all talking about the budget. And we're all just waiting. We've been waiting for an awfully long time. There's nobody not working up there. They're just not working together, I guess. All these legislators have to go back to their towns who are all facing what these cities and towns are facing. So there is going to be pressure to do something. We came into work Tuesday under the Governor Malloy's budget, which was an $8.6 million cut to this town. And business went on as usual. Schools open, teachers taught, and we continue to pave roads here, et cetera, et cetera. We know that there'll be a budget in place. We don't know still, and we're grabbing at numbers right now, what that's going to be. We can't make drastic cuts